Well, it's not that.
Well, we'll put you to sleep then.
Yeah, well, that might very well happen. Yes, it could be.
All right, it's 7:04. We'll call this meeting to order. Everybody, please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence. Thanks very much. I need motion to approve the public bond hearing meeting minutes of January 7, 2013. So moved. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Dan. Any deletions, corrections, amendments, adjustments, clarification? Seeing and or hearing none. All in favor of approving the public bond hearing meetings as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous. I need a motion to approve the school board meeting minutes of January 7, 2013.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
2 seconds. Any changes, additions, deletions, corrections, modifications? I can't think of any other adjectives. So. See none, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous. Correspondence, I will pass around a very thin correspondence folder which contains a substitutes report. Commendations.
It's pretty thin, huh?
It is very thin. Ms. Remillard, we're going to wow you tonight at our speed.
You'll have time to go over to see the selectmen after.
We know that was higher on your priority list. Commendations and good news. We have none of our regular folks who will fill us in, and we'll assume it's been quiet. Diane, you got anything?
I'm thinking, but no. Oh, never mind, I'll take this.
Well, it's coming up under the area agreement, so we'll wait.
Okay. Any public comment? See no public, we will move right along. There was no human resources meeting tonight. That committee will convene again on February 11th, 5:30 at the SAU. Planning and Communications will next meet on February 4 at 6 p.m. here. C&E will next meet on February 11 at the SAU at 7 p.m. Budget Committee report.
Budget Committee met last Tuesday, the 15th, and as it pertains to the school board, the Budget Committee did vote to recommend, that was a vote of 11-3-0, to recommend our Article 2 as written. And they likewise voted to recommend Article 3, 11-3-0 as well.
And did they come back with a number?
It was as written on the warrant, the draft warrant that we put forward.
It's
At the budget public hearing.
We're going to talk about that in a
May I?
little bit.
The
The actual number, if it's needed.
Well, no, it's
It's what
it
they
was
came
what
up
we put
with.
forward on the draft warrant
Okay.
for
Sure.
the budget public hearing.
Oh, now I understand what you're talking about. Yes.
But of course, I have my
Wherever it
town
was didn't
warrant,
come through.
and I know exactly where my school budget warrant, the school board warrant is, but it is not on my person.
All right. Moving right along. Area Planning Committee report. No updates.
Hey, Ray?
Area planning?
Well, give us an update. Do you want to give the update? We met with the
Oh.
State Department of Ed.
Yes.
Well, we didn't meet, we were there. They reviewed the area agreements, the area agreement that we came up with. There was, as State Chief put it, virtually, I mean, there were no questions. There were at least six of us there for that
Yes.
particular area agreement, and they said, thanks for coming. Unanimous vote, put it forward. So we should receive some wording back from them on Wednesday.
Right. Get the mail tomorrow, should be in our hands by Wednesday. Good. Thank you, Dan.
That's the good news, by the way.
Yes, it is. One more thing off our plate, or one more obstacle overcome along the way. Elementary Facilities Review Committee is meeting, or met this evening.
No, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow
That's
night.
right, I apologize. At 5:30?
It says media center. Whether that's exactly true, I'm not sure. We have been meeting in the conference room off of the office.
So
Um,
if you should show up here,
Pardon?
Official term for the room is the principal's conference room.
Oh, the principal's conference room. Very good. We did not have a meeting at our last scheduled meeting because we did not have a quorum. However, the group that was there expressed concern and requested that I come to the board and ask for direction. Publications that are being prepared by the committee, how does this board want to process them? We have 3 meetings until the vote. We have a favorable vote from the budget committee to, have this be on the warrant, and they support it on the warrant. We'd like to move as quickly as we can. But we need guidance as far as how you want to review documents as they come from the
so you're
committee.
starting at 5:30.
We're starting at 5:30?
I don't know that there is adequate time to have the board review, get them back, and have them be productive. Other than you and either Keith or I.
I'm hoping to be there tomorrow night.
Okay. Then the representatives of this board will have to make a decision in consort with their role on that board. That's really, I think logistically, that's the only thing that makes sense. I would entertain a motion to give those representatives the authority to
I'm not making a motion.
give the board's blessing. Because I think that's really the only way we do it.
I would, given the timeliness
Would you
and
give me a
the way we
second
need to.
and then discuss?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll give you a second.
All right.
Did we have, who made the motion?
I did.
You made the motion. Given the time constraints, in process, I think that we do need to do it this way, as far as have representatives of board, because I really do feel that any publications that may be perceived to be put out on behalf of the board, I think we need to vet them in some capacity. We need to have the opportunity to review them, the content, and
The full board?
no, I'm talking the representatives, just, honestly, I was a little surprised that the first time we saw that flyer was after it was already to print, just because it has been perceived by the public to be on behalf of the board. And I just think we need to be clear, and I think we just need to have everything together as best we can.
So that said, are there any more comments about delegating that authority to the school board representatives
Yes,
present?
I have what information generally are you trying to put together to put out?
The flyer that was prepared by Harvey
Yeah?
to promote, all of the factual information on what's changing in the buildings. There are postcards that were in conversation basically they say, support school Article 2, if not now, when. Because they're postcards, there's not much room to say a whole lot on them.
So we are considering paying for postcards.
We can't.
We can't.
We can't.
Thank you, that's where I was going.
Yeah, no.
But it
Thank
does,
you.
yeah, it does need to say who paid for them.
Okay. So what kind of blessing, I still don't understand what my vote blessing would do here.
You aren't blessing anything. You're giving the school board representatives to that committee the authority to approve documents that will leave that committee
Without it coming to the entire board.
without it coming to the board.
Because we don't have time, or the board does not meet enough.
Do we need to give them permission? No, PNC, is it PNC that does that anyway?
PNC meets once a month, they are planning and communications. Do I think it falls under our purview? Yes. But again, we don't meet.
To make it easier, the question was, does PNC, before they put anything out, come to the full board?
No. But we
So-
had received permission from the board.
So we have done this.
To act on their behalf, like when we wrote the newspaper articles.
Right, so what I'm doing is trying to promote a like-minded thing. We've already done it for PNC. Okay, so this would be no different for that board.
Right,
That's a correct statement?
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Sure.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Suzanne?
Suzanne?
Yes.
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 Thank you. ANF committee.
We met this evening. We have a couple of items that we are going to go through. You tell me if you want to do them now. I'm looking to find out if they're on the agenda. Otherwise, we'll do the manifest under the next agenda. When did you want to do the MS-27 default budget? We want to talk to you about the Honeywell energy audit and some things about wholesale electric suppliers.
I think that we can do those in the body of the ANF presentation.
The manifest and vouchers?
Excuse me?
The-
No, we'll do the manifest in, well,
See, it's funny to have it in
right.
both places
It is,
now.
it is.
Yeah.
And unless there's no objection, because it's captured in part of the ANF report out,
Yeah.
I suggest we do the manifest and vouchers as part of your report out.
Great. Let me do that now.
Good.
We have before us this evening a manifest of $918,034. So I make a motion that the committee approve the manifest as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
Now I'll go through it.
Thanks.
We have payroll and taxes of $709,262. And if you look, say, wow, that sounds low. That's because there's no health trust and there's no retirement payment on that particular manifest. Some sped activity, Crotchet Mountain, $8,800. Lighthouse School was $23,000. That's December services for 3 students. The provider is transportation. That's $35,595. The Reading Foundation, we prepay 6 months, January through June. That's $13,734. Then we true it up once a month if there's any things, but that's like for services, for certain hours, for a certain number of days, those kind of things as we go through. We paid the 50% to the MVMS survey to Wested, $17,790. A couple of invoices to vendors in total that totaled over $5,000 that I noticed, but no individual invoice did. Let's say Fred Fuller, for instance, $14,318. Goffstown Truck Center had $8,884, and Crotchet Mountain was $8,607. That's the total manifest, and there are roughly about $69,000, $70,000 of other small amounts. So we have any questions?
Seeing none, all in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions were unanimous.
Now, if you guys would like, Ray can talk about the MS-27.
I think all of you should have a copy of a form called School Budget Form. That is the MS-27 document, and that is what we will be presenting to the Budget Committee for their sign-off. If you move on to page 2 of that particular form, you'll see data that's presented, expenditures for the year ended June 30th, 2012, appropriations for the current year, which is our current budget year, which will be ending on June 30th, what the school board proposed to the Budget Committee back in November, that's in column 6, and in column 8, that is the Budget Committee's recommended budget number of $37,311,381. The board's responsibility tonight, if you will, is to determine whether you will adopt the Budget Committee's number, stick with the proposal that you made back in November, or arrive somewhere in between. Again, I think as reported earlier, the Budget Committee did vote the $37,311,000 number on an 11-3 split. And default budget, in case you are worrying or wondering about that, sits at $36,616,000, which is about $600,000 or so less than the proposal from the Budget Committee.
Would you like a motion?
Sure.
I move to adjust our numbers to reflect what the Budget Committee came back to us with.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second by Keith. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous.
Now, do you want to, are we going to do the recommendation when we get to the warrant?
After our deliberative session, at the close of the deliberative session, because the possibility certainly exists that something could change at that final opportunity. So generally, it's been our practice to hold a vote on a recommendation one way or the other once we know absolutely what the end result is. Otherwise, we may find ourselves premature.
Okay. You ready for the
Want me to
default?
take the default? Sure.
Please.
I have 6 original documents here, which we're going to ask you folks to sign off on at the conclusion of this meeting. This is the default budget of the school. As we had said a moment ago, it sits at $36,616,091. Information presented on this form, again, is the operating budget proposed for last year, which would have ended on June 30th, 2012. It's the current year budget, which ends on June 30th, 2013. Reductions and increases to that budget to determine what the default number should be, and then the default calculation itself. Same form as we've signed off on from previous years. I'll set them up on the counter at the conclusion of the meeting.
I believe I can either discuss it now or after there's a motion to accept the actual default number. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think we looked at it at the table.
No, we did not.
But I think one of the things I've done in the past is I believe there's a terminology in the RSA that typically I've been led to believe is a different methodology of calculating the default than the way we in the town have been doing the default. So I would probably, if a motion came to move that number forward, have to vote in the negative. So that's why I wanted to, if I could see that and go through it, it'd be helpful. I think it's with the term obligation.
Okay. And Ray, can you give me the number again?
Thank you.
16,091.
Yep.
This will be the third time I've written it down. May I have a motion on the default, and then to the extent that there's discussion, we'll have it.
So what?
And then to the extent there's discussion, we'll have it in the body of the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
Diane seconds.
You can pass that back down.
Discussion.
Were the calculation, you usually gave us a little Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
On how things went up and down and those kind of things?
Yeah.
I'm looking for mine. Did we take into consideration the change in cost of energy?
We did.
Okay.
And what it's doing is bringing the calculation down from the previous year because of the more favorable pricing that we are getting in for our energy supplies.
That's it.
So, just for my peace of mind, because we'll invariably have, we could find ourselves having this conversation next year. Had it gone up, would that have changed, as an individual board member, your conclusion about obligations?
It's not whether it goes up or down.
Okay.
It goes to the reading of the RSA and the interpretation I've been given that the obligation is the budget that was the previous year, modified by changes in contractual obligations. I don't believe energy was one of our contractual obligations, which means I believe the calculation is saying we did so many gallons at this price, and so we bring forward the same amount of gallons at the change in price. My opinion is it's irrelevant of the use. It's the dollar amount, no matter whether the dollar goes up or the dollar goes, it's the dollar value that comes forward. And it just so happens in this particular year that the adjustment maintaining the way the body that has typically done it has gone down. Okay, it's not because it went down or went up. It's because it's not the actual budget number from the previous year.
Fair enough. Thank you. All in favor of the motion as presented?
Yes.
Opposed?
Nay?
Abstentions? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 510, excuse me. Got to get those in the right slots. Dan, other than your statutory understanding,
Yes.
is there anything else with regard to your vote that you would like to speak to?
No.
Okay, thanks very much. I just want to make sure at least you had the opportunity.
Thank you.
Anything else on our A&F agenda?
Honeywell?
Honeywell, yep. We were in contact with Honeywell last week. The energy audits have started at all of the schools inside the district. Honeywell is also taking a look at Maple Avenue and at Bartlett. Their work there is going to be focused on the portions of the buildings that remain and that will not be modified should we get a favorable vote for the renovation and reconstruction bond. The timeline, again, remains unchanged. Honeywell is working to have something to present to the board in late March or early April for your consideration and evaluation prior to CIP decision time, which will be in May.
And is it fair to say that at this juncture, given the work that they've already done for us and the changes that have been made, that we could see more capital investment this time round, or?
That will be part of the proposal to be made to the board and decisions that you folks will have to make. The answer is yes. I would expect that there would be additional capital investment required.
Okay. Any other questions? Again, this is as much an FYI as anything.
One last piece would be an attempt to look at better electric rates.
Okay. We did receive a query from Derek Horn, the Assistant Town Administrator. The town is beginning to evaluate whether or not it wants to proceed forward to solicit input or proposals from the various wholesale electricity providers to try to capture some more favorable rates than what we would all be looking at from public service. They did invite the school district to participate if we were so inclined. I think we would probably want to see what it is that they do come up with. And we can't speak for the SAU. However, I would think that the other districts involved might want to participate also.
I'm really kind of curious, and if this is a conversation for a future time, because it goes way further, do you know whether or not they all use the same capital equipment to push their product? I mean,
Delivery's all done by
yes.
PSNH.
it's all done by PSNH?
It is.
Okay, and all the service of those lines is by?
PSNH.
Okay.
It's the energy provider, whoever puts the power into that physical, the bill is separated into separate categories now. And so we can purchase kilowatt hours from a different vendor than PSNH. And my understanding is the PSNH rates, if the PUC this month allowed for it, I haven't kept up with what was going up substantially.
18% potentially.
Yeah, and so it's pretty much, and they were talking about establishing two different kinds of rates. A rate for PUC customers who kind of stay, and another rate for a former PUC customer who comes back, which is a little higher.
It's like
So
cell
someone,
phones.
and that's my understanding. I don't know if that's the presentation that was actually made to the PSC, but that was a conversation that was happening.
Well, we'll learn something along the way.
Right, and we'll continue to keep the board updated as information develops.
Thank you very much.
That concludes A&F from my understanding.
Because we've done manifest and vouchers, we're going to move to old business. There is something that is not on the agenda, but is an item of old business that came up at the end of our last meeting. To Mr. Allard's point, and I think you've already covered this, but because of a discussion about what came up in our minutes, I wanted to make sure that we at least touch base on it. We discussed the ground rules surrounding both GEA and GESS. Both of the ground rules that were agreed to contain identical provisions that basically say the substance of the negotiations will remain confidential until such time as there is either impasse or there has been a vote. And both of those things have occurred in both of those, one or the other of those things has occurred in both of those cases. There has been a vote. So to the extent that the board wishes to discuss their efforts in negotiating tentative agreements, there are no limitations. Okay?
You're free to speak about it.
Final warrant article approval. You have in front of you, everybody should have in front of you, a draft showing all of the changes and a draft final copy, assuming that all of the articles that we discussed the last time, of which there are 5, are moved forward. Article 1, and I'll bore you all to tears, includes choosing the district clerk and 3 members of the school board for a 2 and a 3-year term respectively.
Who's up for re-election this time around? Do you remember?
Myself, Lori.
Jen?
Jen, Lori, and
And me.
Diane?
Yes. Article 2 is the
renovation project.
the renovation project. I'm reading it. Oh, okay. Starts out with 10% limitation.
I think you need to strike the first sentence.
Okay.
And that you do have a recommendation from the budget committee.
Oh, yes, so the 10% rule doesn't apply.
That's correct.
Thank you, Ray. So it's not incumbent upon the warrant article to include that if it's not recommended, if it is recommended?
And you guys
only-
have those numbers for, I see the budget committee voted is blank. Do you have,
1130.
no, I know them.
Oh, okay.
I'm making sure she knows them and will be taken care of.
Is this the 70%?
Sorry, I'm operating on 3 hours of sleep.
And Denise, correct me if I'm wrong, because I read this several hours ago, so. The DRA expressed some concern over the use of the cents in the 271,566.75 number from
Yeah, they
the-
suggested,
to reduce from the fund balance, from the capital reserve account. We could not find anything that precluded it, but believe that because this was the number that went forward to the budget committee, and that they either voted to recommend, that unless we hear otherwise, it should remain as such, otherwise we will have effectively changed.
So the budget committee minutes, they have not been approved yet, but Article 3, 37,311,381,
That's the budget.
that's the
Right.
budget.
Okay. But on the warrant,
talking about the money that's sitting in the current capital reserve
Right.
fund.
exactly.
That's not indicated, okay.
Is it? It's in the bond thing. They suggested that you roll it up, figure the
Sorry.
75 cents and roll it to the higher
Right,
number.
remember I talked to you
Okay,
about it?
yeah, so we're back on Article 2, not Article 3.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm looking at
I'm
Article
sorry,
2.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's my bad over
Okay.
here.
And I think what the first year's debt payment is as proposed to the Budget Committee, was $271,566.75. I believe what DRA is recommending is to round up and make that number 271,567.
Okay. I apologize. Thank you for correcting that.
Sure.
Will that make a difference in terms of distinguishing what we voted on and what the Budget Committee voted on? And does it need to be something other than, or can it be a number that includes cents?
I'd say it'd probably be best to leave it as it is.
I think so.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I'm looking.
And we didn't get any definitive command from DRA on that. It was simply a suggestion.
Yeah. Thank you for the suggestion, but I think we're going to play it safe and keep it as is.
Yep.
If we had had the suggestion a few weeks ago, or even before 2 weeks ago, we would have been.
Article
Yes, sir.
3 is consistent with both of your motions this evening as to the budget and the default. And Article 4, again, is to see if the school district will vote and authorize indefinitely until rescinded to retain year-end unassigned general funds in the amount not to exceed in any fiscal year 2.5% of the current fiscal year's net assessment in accordance with 198:4-B2.
Could I speak to that, Philip?
Yes.
I think it's a great idea. I would love to get this passed, but I'm not sure this is the right year to do it. I was hoping we could try to keep our ballot as simple as possible and ask for as least as possible in the hopes of getting our articles passed. I don't know how other people feel about that, but I was curious as a whole, how do we feel about that?
Well, quite honestly, I think we should go for it this year because our warrant is probably as simple as it's going to get. Because don't forget, down the road, we still have 2 collective bargaining agreements to get passed.
I agree with Suzanne in that even altogether, even with this one, it's 4 articles.
Yeah.
And it is wise to be able to, for the town to be able to save some money and it's worked out like with the Bartlett Capital Reserve Fund and whatnot, just to have some money in the coffers. I think it's wise.
Plus the fact I don't like the idea of all the money that we save in our budget gets turned over to the Board of Selectmen so that their reserve fund gets built up quite nicely. Thank you very much.
Well, it doesn't quite work that way. The money does go back to the,
Taxpayers.
But they do have a fund.
yeah, they do.
They do have a fund.
This was a change in law that allowed the school districts to do the same thing the selectmen are doing.
Exactly.
And in some respects, notwithstanding the fact that we're completely different entities, we know that the results of our process at the end of the year and the use of our appropriations and the fact that there are unanticipated revenues impacts the behavior of a governing body that may hold some funds in abeyance
Yes.
if they believe they need to, which is fine. It's a good management technique. This simply allows you, if passed, the opportunity to deal with unanticipated emergencies. In fact, to be perfectly honest, my gut instinct is to agree with Suzanne, is that it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's if the community would like us to do it and to at least have the option of using funds that to deal with emergencies, that they can make a decision to give us that
Education dollars
authority.
for education problems.
Right.
We don't have problems, we just have challenges.
A black cat is still a black cat.
So if we can either move these together, move these forward collectively or individually. I just wanted to go through it at a minimum what they were.
No, I mean, I'm fine if you want to do them collectively, I just wanted to have that discussion.
Fair enough. What have I done with the rest of it? Okay.
So I'll move we put that article on the warrant.
Okay.
Actually, it's there.
It's on it.
It is.
We did that a couple weeks
You
ago.
haven't officially adopted it.
Right, that's correct. We haven't,
We haven't adopted 1, 2, or 3, or 4, and what we're discussing is whether we're going to do them as one motion or individually.
I'd make a motion to do them collectively.
okay. The last piece of business is
AREA.
Article 5 is the area agreement, as Dan already pointed out in his good news. The language for the area agreement has not arrived on our desk. It will be crafted, unchangeable, by the
State.
Department of Education. They will deliver it to us. We should have it by Wednesday. I believe that you can adopt the warrant with the language provided by the state, and you will have achieved your objective, if in fact you decide you want the area agreement on the warrant article, as a warrant article.
Well, that'd be silly not to put it there.
Yeah, I agree completely. I agree completely. I can tell you how I'll vote.
All right. So the
Wanna move
language
them?
comes from the state unchangeable,
Right.
so there is no benefit to waiting.
No.
Well,
We've gone through the entire process. We have done all the things, and if Dan, feel free to correct me as I get there. We've done all the things that we as a district or we as districts need to do. The Department of Education has approved the area plan that was presented to it unanimously. They will craft language to get back to us, which will be incorporated into the warrant. Dan, what did I miss?
that's about it. The only advantage, if you want to see, or the only choice we would have by waiting is not to include the warrant.
And we're not going to do that.
I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, they can't substantively, well, they can't make changes to the intent of the area agreement.
Right.
Yeah, it is going to be what it is, as
Yeah.
far as I understand.
Okay.
Because I've never seen it. I mean, let me rephrase that. I don't remember seeing it 10 years ago.
But we went through exactly the same process. I mean, in fact, and I think we got just as many questions this year as we did 10 years ago.
That's right. And 20 years ago.
And every time we renegotiate, we make it longer.
Yeah, and 30 years ago. I've seen.
No, we make it longer every time.
Okay, so that being said, if there is a motion to move the warrant article forward as changed, and the changes are limited to removal of the first sentence in Article 2, and including adoption of the language provided by the Department of Education for Article 5, the area agreement article.
And inclusion.
So moved.
And
Hold on.
And inclusion of the budget committee recommended vote.
Isn't that by statute? I don't
No,
think we have to.
it's not required anymore by statute.
No, but it's.
Really? Oh.
It's not on the piece of paper as we're looking at it.
It is not.
So that's, I wanted to, if we're going to bring it to deliberative with that vote on there,
Yes.
that would be part of the motion.
And it was on both Articles 2 and Article 3?
Yes,
And in both cases, it was 11-3?
yes.
Okay. I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
All right, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're unanimous. All right. Let's see, what else?
Setting the 2013 warrant and default budget signing date.
We're going to sign the default tonight. And we will have to figure out, when do we have to have the warrant article signed and backed by? Signed by?
They have to be posted next Monday night, the 28th.
Okay, so they should be available by Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the state input on the area agreement.
Okay.
That's the gating item right now.
Okay, so.
We should have it ready to go Thursday morning.
Okay, so Thursday, at least 5 of you.
Okay.
And if you would you let everybody know? So those folks who aren't here will at least have the opportunity to do it, and getting to 5 will be easier. Let's see. Don't do that. Okay. And now the fun begins. Suzanne, can we put you on speakerphone for the deliberative session?
No. You'll never hear anything.
That's right. I'm having a hard time tonight. Somebody's shuffling papers, and I'm missing a lot of stuff here.
I apologize, believe
That was
me.
Philip.
That's probably
I'm surprised you can hear that.
Okay, so
But you didn't miss anything. None of us were talking. We were watching him shuffle.
Is that date right?
Is that date right?
Yeah. Is the deliberative March 2nd?
Yeah, February
February
2nd.
That's what I thought.
Oh, February, does it say March someplace?
It says March over here.
Oh,
On the sign-up sheet for the warrant articles.
Right. I thought, did something happen? Okay. We need to have, get this filled out for our deliberative session. I need somebody to move to second and to discuss the building projects.
I mean, would you like to do it, Jennifer? Because I missed so many meetings while I was in the hospital, so
Sure.
I'll second it, though. And if for some reason something happens to Jennifer and she can't be available, I guess I'll wing it like I did last year. I hope I'm not sick this year. That's all.
Article 3,
Want me to move it?
Article 3
is the
Budget.
no. Did I do it backwards? Oh, that's Article 2.
Yeah, Article
Yeah.
3 is the budget.
Yeah, the building project
Article
is
2 is the building, the bonding.
Right.
It has to be second.
3
Yeah.
is budget.
I mean, who's comfortable doing your presentation on it?
The budget, that would be Diane.
Thank you, Dan.
Well,
good to hear it all from me.
Well, you were in there, in the trenches so definitively.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I'm willing to do a presentation on
No,
something if
I'll-
you feel it's necessary. I'd be glad to.
I'll do it.
And I'll tell you what, if you need a second, I'll be happy to be your second, and just hit me,
Okay.
all right? Dan, would you second?
I was going to do either 4 or 5. I thought you were going to second.
Well, I was going to move.
Oh, I thought Diane was.
I was going to move.
You're gonna move?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
going to move. I thought you were going to second. That's
Okay.
what I thought I was offering.
That's what I thought.
That's
All
all
right,
right.
that's fine, that's what
yeah.
we'll do.
And then that brings us to 4.
4,
I could either do 4 or 5. I like the area because I was in the trenches, but
I'll speak to Article 4. That's an easy one to do.
I can second it if you'd like.
great. And you want to move Article 5, Dan?
Yep.
I'll second. Being the person who dug the biggest possible trench that I could.
It's okay, Dan built a bridge over
So
it.
you could fill it in. Nice work.
Yeah, it was a good tag team there.
We also need to
All
know
right.
who's going to
Who's
present
seconding
I'm-
you on Article 4?
Cornerstone.
Dan will second, Keith will motion.
Thank you. We also need to talk about who is going to present the Cornerstone and the Dreamkeeper.
Oh, very good. I'm trying to remember who they are.
Oh, I can't say it now. Thank you
Yeah.
kindly. No, you're good.
I could do one of them.
Okay. Jennifer, did you want to do? There wasn't one that.
I could do both of them if you wanted it. Not a big
No, I
deal
mean I
for
can
me.
do one too. I just.
All right, we'll talk and we'll divide up
I
the
will
two.
not be upset if you do it.
All right. There was one in particular. I thought.
Hurt my
Okay.
feelings one bit.
All right.
So we'll touch base after and we'll choose one of us will do one will do the other.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Or if you like the Emmys, you know, I say 3 words, you say 3,
Yeah.
and I say 3 here.
All right,
All right.
enough of that. All right,
All
let's see. So, budget signing date.
Delegate Assembly.
I apologize. I was otherwise occupied with a family matter. I did not attend the delegate assembly because I was out of town. So I have precious little to tell you about it. And I was out of town so late that I couldn't have filled the position, I don't think.
I did hear from a board member on, of another board here in SAU 19. And they said it was a great learning experience. It was their
It-
first
you know,
time attending.
It really is.
I enjoyed it last year. I did.
Is there any other business?
Were we going to do the
Letter
Nardo
D.
Sustainable?
Down the bottom of the page,
Yeah,
5D.
you're missing it. 5D, Pinardville Sustainable Community Plan and Smart Code Project Appointment. The board will
This
address.
one. Okay, so. I saw an email on this, but I'll be darned if I can educate you at all on it.
What page is it again?
Yeah, I'm going to stop doing that in about 1 second.
Hey, Suzanne, so what do you know
Yeah.
about Pinardville Sustainable Community Plan and
Yeah, no, I
Smart
knew
Code
that.
Project
But
Appointment?
I couldn't,
It's not a thing.
okay.
Oh,
What's the name of
It
it?
is Pinardville Sustainable Community Plan and Smart Code Project Appointment. I talked with the superintendent. Basically, it's driven at what are the potential impacts in the Pinardville section of our community that might need to be addressed by an ongoing sustainability plan. And I talked to the superintendent about it. The superintendent and the principal are in the best possible position with their expertise to address the school's needs. And ask that they represent the district and the board, either individually or collectively.
Works for me.
Okay?
I would agree.
I don't think we
You
need a
mean David,
motion.
right?
Yes.
David, yeah.
is there such a thing as a Pinardville Sustainable Community Plan and Smart Code Project?
They're
They got a
working
grant to
on
do it.
developing.
Oh, that's the Agenda 21 grant that they
Yeah,
accepted?
exactly.
Absolutely.
Not good. It's okay. It's not free money. It's,
Oh, it's not free.
No.
I just said it was a grant, that's
Yeah.
all.
All right.
I went through all that trouble to get it filled out. You're going to let it
We
go,
have
huh?
no say in whether we're accepting it. We only have an opportunity to have representation.
All right.
Do we have any other business?
I have one thing just to update you in non-public,
Okay.
which will take about 2 seconds.
Well,
I was just asking
Phil,
other business that maybe.
I had
we can
asked you
come
to
up with
put
a
on Stacy's evaluation
Oh.
for non-public.
But that's also no. Well,
Because-
that falls into the same category as.
I just
Thank you.
Didn't want you to
and-
forget about it
and we agreed
because
to do that.
that's the only thing I'm
Actually,
waiting for
I
to
did.
finish it.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to go into non-public pursuant to RSA 91-A semicolon 32A and C.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
it would be yes.
Yes.
Suzanne? Yeah. Jen? Thank you very much.
Want to sign your forms?
Yes, we will.
Well, he's written down, I'm just gonna-